Is it on?
You're watching T.S. Madison TV.
My God, today.
I tell you, he said to me, he was a nice looking guy, but he said to me straight up, he said, Craig, listen, you this, that, and the third. He said, but you look like a nigga. He said, I like her. He said, I know what's going on down there. He said, but she looks like a woman. And that was the first lesson that I got on that. And I understood that there are men that do not want a gay boy. You know what I'm saying?
And there are men that don't want no goddamn trans. It's men that don't want no trans. They don't want no drag queen or nothing like that. They don't want nothing that looks remotely, you know, feminine except a woman. You get what I'm saying? And I do believe that when they don't want anything besides a man or a woman, they don't want anything in between or any of that shit, it is because of the home upbringing of a man supposed to be with a woman. You get what I'm saying? And if he ain't with a woman, he with a man. All that other shit in between, damn who I live with. Okay, T Brown has.
But also there are these guys who want to be with men, and because of what you just said, because society expected to be man and woman and man and woman, that they choose to be with these trans girls. And then it's just like that scene in Pose. I always remember that scene in Pose where, you know, Miss Thing was talking about, you know, having a sex change. This has been what she wanted to do since the beginning of her transition. She wanted to have a sex change. And then the guy told her, if you have a sex change, things are going to change with us. And that's the reality of it. These men, they like dick. Bottom line is they like dick. Out and being with somebody that can help them pass as a male-female relationship, but they can get what they want when they get in the bedroom. That's what they want. Because as soon as she went and had the surgery without telling him, when they went to go to bed the next time and he found out that she had the surgery, he was out. So a lot of these men, they say they don't want masculine-looking men, but they want that body part from that man.
Yeah.
So I don't care how they look at it, but you have to respect for what they say they are and what they want.
Yeah, I get what you saying.
They like.
Hold on. I get exactly what you're saying. However, at the end of the day, when the day is done, each person's individual identity is just that, their individual identity. There are some men out there who I have had the situation of dealing with myself, because I have been a jump off and a thought, okay? There's some trade that ain't gonna touch no dick. They're not gonna touch it. It's not gonna happen. There's some trade I done motherfucker trying to force their hand around it. I don't fuck with them kind of trades no more, because that's not my bitch. I'm not finna lay there and you gonna have your whole fantasy of the whole situation, because maybe it's the visual for the piece of trade. It's the visual. When people start understanding that people's sexual makeup comes from looking first. From looking and in the mind first, before it even gets down to the touch, then they would understand. Because I done had a piece of trade that don't want to touch the dick, you get what I'm saying, but don't want the dick to be gone either. I ain't never touched it. No, bitch, I ain't with that. Put a pillow over it. I don't fuck with them kind of trades no more, because at the end of the day, I'm not putting no pillow over. I got it, nigga. It's there. I'm not putting no pillow. I'm not covering it up because you can't deal with it. You get what I'm saying? But then you don't want it to be gone.
So let me ask you. So in those
instances, Madden, do you think some of those guys that don't want to touch it, they are only doing that because they feel like that's how you think you want? You know, I don't want somebody that want to play with my man. They don't want to touch it. Well, do you think some of those guys just do that for you? Once they leave you, they will go and probably be with another guy. But they don't want you to know that. Well,
I don't listen. Like I said earlier, Sophia, it's all in the mind of the individual. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it has to be a person's own individual identity, you know. Right. And dog, I could tell y'all some stories when I was a hooker. When I walked the street and I had a boy date me that would suck the dick. That wouldn't suck the dick, but would get fucked. And I'm like, bitch, I need to get my dick sucked first so I can get hard to even go on you, because the thing about it is I have no interest in climbing your back. Like, there was a time in my life that I had no interest in climbing on a man's putting my piece inside of a man's back. I had no interest in doing that. And for the men that wanted that, I was like, I don't want to be involved with that. You get what I'm saying? And this man was paying me to do that. So therefore, here's the thing. What I started to learn. I started to learn and understand that this shit at times, for whoever it is in that moment, in that space, in that individual, this could be a fantasy. It could be a fetish. It could be some shit that they done watched. It could be something that they done seen that they want to act out.
But it's all individualized, to your point. Because I don't think all of them want the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I think it's so unique to each of us. Like what you crave, what you want. But I wanted to ask you, so the guy who didn't want to touch it, or a trade that doesn't want to touch it, what, he just want to fuck? Or does he want to get fucked?
He want to fuck. He want to get his dick sucked. You get what I'm saying?
In his mind, he is the man in the relationship, and this is the woman. Even though she got her piece, I'm not gonna touch it. It's just a visual thing for me, because at the whole illusion that bitch, you look like a whole bitch, you look like my auntie, or you look like my mama. But
you look like not my auntie.
No,
my mama. You look like a bitch that a thick asshole.
Right.
You look like this. You look like something. You give off something that I want to fuck. You get what I'm saying? But damn, you got a dick. I move that motherfucker. I done had Trey. I done laid baby Trey. I move the bitch out. Excuse me. Move this. Let me scoot this to the side. And I do think that it is the whole infatuation with the transformation. I think that that's what it is. It's the infatuation with the transformation. Like, dog, this was a man. You were a man. You were a man. This was a man. How many times have the fish done told the trade, that's a man? And the trade done be like, wait. You get what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute.
In confusion.
Like, wait, how? And then it becomes an intriguing situation in the mind. Like, wait a minute. Let me see. And this is why, for trans people, for me as a trans person, I'm never offended when somebody on a big platform or a place like have I had the bottom surgery. That don't offend me, because I don't think that it's minimalizing my gender identity because they're asking me about my genitalia. What I thinking it is very much so, bitch, how is it's possible? Bitch, you just gave me the ultimate fish points.
And
bitch,
see,
real.
And see, I think that's what separates you from the other trans girls. We're not gonna name any names, because you speak about it. You know what I'm saying? You humanize the experience for a trans woman. And that's what I'm saying. Those of us that, like, before I started working with you, you're the closest trans woman I've ever known. Like, of course,
Sophia, you knew Sophia before me. You knew Sophia.
Sophia ain't trans. That's Danny.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that we knew Sophia wasn't trans. Thank you, guys. So I never thought Sophia was trans. Wait, Sophia, do you identify as trans?
but I think what's beautiful about you, and we talk about this all the time offline, is that you speak about it and you don't make it taboo to talk about having your penis. You know what I'm saying? Where a lot of trans girls, because they're more interested in passing and more interested in looking like on the outside what they feel like on the inside, they don't ever want to talk about that. So I think that's what's really groundbreaking about you.
And see, when I first met her, I never knew her tea, like, because it was her, and then was another trans girl.
I mean, that's the other week.
That looked like, concrete. But when I seen her, she was finished. When I first seen her, she had a nice shape.
I was small.
I never knew that she was trans until she drove off, and my friend was like, "But girl, I said, bitch, no." She said, "Yes, ma'am." And then I had Google, her website. Okay, I get it. Because when I was younger, I never met trans. She was my first trans person that I ever seen in life. I never knew what a trans person was. You get what I'm saying? When I was younger. Right. So when I seen her, I looked at the other person. I said, "But girl, she looked kind of okay. I know what that is, but she don't give me that."
And see, too, Madison, it's like, because you are so vocal. Because I mean, honestly, I really don't know another trans woman or girl who is as open as you are about still having a penis. You know what I'm saying?
I don't give a fuck about it because that don't make me. Like, you get what I'm saying?
I think that because you're so open, you've bridged the trans community with the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? Because you've answered questions from me, and I'm in the LGBTQ community. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times people assume that because we're under the same umbrella that we know all the answers. There are a lot of things that I don't know about lesbians. You know?
Yeah. Now listen, and there's such an untapped market that we don't in our own community that we don't ever talk about, which is like trans men. Like we never talk about trans men. We never talk about the attraction, the attract, like the things that trans men go through. We never talk about the trans woman seems to be the in the forefront or the staple of what we talk about when we start talking about things in the community. And it's just like the trans man is swept under the rug or whatever, you know. But I do think that with trans men, a lot of trans men are really more into the stealth, like there are a lot more stealth trans men than there are open, you know, trans men, because there are some trans men that you find out later on, you're like, damn, you know.
And you've made it okay for people to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Where again, typically from the trans community, it's like you got to tiptoe around certain things because people think you're being transphobic because you're really just asking for clarity. It's the same thing with straight folks who want to ask things about the gay community. Sometimes we get so offended when they're just asking for knowledge, but you know, you can't really educate people or bridge gaps if you don't give people the latitude to ask questions. It's not always about trying to offend you. I just want to know.
Yeah, and for me, like I don't get not on a large level.
When you talk about individuals, it's an individual choice that they have to make, and you have to respect the individual for the choice that they're making. If they don't want to speak about it, they have their reasons for not speaking about it. Some people don't want to speak about it because they look at it as you reducing their whole being to their sexual part. Some people don't want to speak about it because they don't identify with that body part no more. So everybody has different reasons for why they want to speak about it. So yes, Madison, what she's doing is groundbreaking. And then I always talk to people about it because when we were at Tracks, when the show was popping at Tracks on Monday night, a lot of people had questions about Raquel and the Jasmines and the Stashas and all these girls. And it's just like they come to me and I'm like, well, you talk to those girls because I'm not living that life. This is comedy to me, but those girls are living that life. So if you want the true answer to your question, you're gonna have to step to one of those women. But those women weren't willing to talk to those individuals about it.
But then the question becomes how do we educate people to remove transphobia or homophobia if nobody, say for instance, there wasn't a T.S. Madison or some of the other girls that are willing to talk. Like if nobody is willing to talk, then how do we really eradicate that type of discrimination or that type of, you know, lack of understanding or ignorance?
You just have to wait. You just have to wait until the T.S. Madisons are ready to step forward.
Right.
You can't force people to answer your questions just because you have questions. Yeah. They have to be willing to step forward and answer those questions. You can't just, you know, because you have a question don't mean I have to answer it. And it doesn't mean that I have to answer it right now. But you have a question, and later on, your question will be answered. You just have to be patient and wait for the person that's going to come along that's willing to have the conversation with you. Because if you try to force a person to have a conversation with you about something that they're not willing to talk about, it's not going to be an honest conversation. It's just going to be a back and forth, a lot of shouting going on, and nothing's going to get accomplished. Because this person's going to feel like you're disrespected. I told you I don't want to talk about this, but you insist on me talking about this. This is not something I want to talk about. That's how the conversation gonna go. So you have to wait.
I get that, Sophia. But then here's the thing: you got a bitch like me who will answer questions now and get labeled as a misrepresentation of the community, and that's fine. You know, and there is no misrepresentation of our community. You know why? Because each representation that you see is somebody from our motherfucking community. It is what you see a ratchet. That bitch is a representation. You see a classy bitch, that bitch is a representation. You see a pretty bitch, that bitch is a representation. You see an ugly bitch, that bitch is a representation. A fat bitch, a skinny bitch, those bitches are representation because, bitch, there is no one face of no community. There is no one face.
So We are our own worst enemy. We are our own worst enemy. And it's just like when you step forward and you tell your truth, somebody else that's living the same life that you're living, they're looking at it as you're trying to out them. And it's just like, no, I'm not trying to out you. I'm just trying to educate the people that want to know about me. And I'll tell the person quick. If you want, when I tell people my story, I say, listen, I say things that offend people don't offend me. I say, you have to be careful and not think that all gay people are not easily as I am. I said, just because what you just said don't offend, don't mean that there's somebody else in the gay community that will be offended by that statement. I said, so you have to treat people on an individual basis. It's just the same with you, honey. People have to understand that I'm telling my story. And I do not represent the entire community. I am just a piece of the puzzle in a whole community. And if you want the whole puzzle to be solved, then you have to talk to everybody in the community. I'm representing me. And I'm a part of a community, but I'm representing me as an individual in this community. So don't take what I say and label all trans women as this, or don't take what I say and label all drag queens as this. This is just my piece of the puzzle that I'm sharing with you.
Right.
Message.
And I'm more comfortable. I'm comfortable with talking about, like someone asked me about genitalia and this and the other, because one, I see it from a different perspective when people are asked about it. Now, let's talk about when people are asking those questions. We all know the term intent.
Mm-hmm.
We know when there's a word used, the intent behind it. We know when a question is asked, the intent behind it. No, I might not feel comfortable with you asking me about my genitalia in the room for, let me see your dick. No, I'm not going to do that. Your intent is ill. Mm-hmm. However, if we sitting on a place and you asking me, have you had bottom surgery? No, I haven't had bottom surgery, because I feel like that every trans woman is not defined by an SRS process.
Tell them what that is. Tell the people what that is.
Sexual reassignment surgery. So, and you there's different ways. So you have to understand the intent behind anything that is transpiring with you. The intent. Just like people have an issue with the word fish and faggot. I seen the debate over, I want to be able to say faggot. You know that there is no positive intent when you using the word fag. There's no intent behind that's right. Positive. You know you can't use that. We done sat here and talked about fish and all kind of stuff, bitch. We don't refer to each other as fish and outside as fish. You get what I'm saying? And in no negative, ill-intended way.
Messy.
There is no way that you can use the word faggot
you're trying to make that shit
and try to be like that, because your intent behind that is malicious. Your initial intent behind using that word is malicious. Every time that word has been used, it has been used in a malicious manner. Mm-hmm. Even when we talk about it with each other. When I'm calling you,
are you talking about when they use the word when the heterosexuals use the word, the homosexuals could use
you know how when use the word. Even when we using it with each other, we're insulting each other. Even when we're doing that with each other, we are insulting each other.
Right.
When we're doing that, it ain't even like nigga. You know how we go like nigga, she slap that nigga. That ain't nothing. We done took the power from that word. The power in the word FAGGOT.
You already know what that means.
The power in that word is still the same, no matter how it is motherfucking used and whatever. It's that you. So when a bitch use that as an argument, like, oh, well, I don't want to be called. No one's called. I'm not. I have not individually called anybody fish. When I'm having a conversation with my girls, with my gay friends, just like we have, and even if it's in a public space, you ain't heard me use fish in no malicious way, and I'm not using it in a malicious way, because it ain't really no way to use the damn fish in a malicious way.
Right, exactly. Message hoe.
This is the thing. It's just like recently. I just found out recently. Well, not recently. It's been like a couple of years ago that the women were offended by the word fish.
So yeah. It's like, hey, let me raise my hand. Hey, let me raise my hand. I happen to be a cause of that problem, because maybe 2 or 3 of the ladies that was offended by that, you get what I'm saying, wanted to have a reason to be offended and wanted to start some kind of movement because they have personal issues with the girls. That's just how I feel about it. Because fucking Dineva been saying fish since the beginning of her career, but just because it came from a bitch like me, who already some of those people have a preconceived or a pre-existing condition with the TS, they want to make it a fucking problem. But go ahead, Sophia. I just needed to get that out.
My thing was, it's just like the more we live, the more stuff start to offend people. And it's just like, well, child, how did this all of a sudden become offensive? How did this all of a sudden become offensive? And it's just like, same thing with the word bulldagger. Back in the day, we was heavy on using the word bulldagger. And then it's just like, no, we're not bulldaggers. I'm a lesbian. And then it's like we start calling them fish. And now it's just like, I'm not no fish. And don't be calling me no fish and stuff. It's just like, good thing Corona came and everybody had to stay in their house so we don't have to dress nobody.
Right. Now there's Talia. Here it is. And this is why I do now. When I'm being told, if I'm in a setting and I'm being told like, hey, because I don't never refer to, if I'm in a setting having in a private setting or a setting out in the public, I'm not gonna walk up to you and say, hey, fish to you anyway.
You don't say, hey, Miss Lady, or hey,
hi, man. I'm gonna call you by your name. When I'm amongst my gay Sophia, gay Craig, and you watch it on a show that's predominantly LGBT, you're gonna hear LGBT language over here.
Period.
That's what you're gonna hear. You're gonna hear LGBTQIA language over here.
And then I'm glad you brought that up because
that trans shit don't offend me. Because they were trying to use that, it don't offend me. I bought mini Fabergé off of the word tranny, so that don't offend me. However, I understand that it is the intent and the what you call it behind the word that they want to use that word for to use it in enough. I just want to hold a note. That shit don't offend me. That don't bother me. You get what I'm saying? That faggot shit, I don't like that. Because I already know what your situation. I already know what your intent is with that. But that it don't bother me. But that don't mean it don't bother somebody.
Go ahead, Sophia.
Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube. Or if you're already here, click that bell up there, one of them, and subscribe so that you don't miss this or any other excellent content that I have for you. Don't meet me here. Beat me here. Ciao.